All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Rialto Roundtable. I'm your host, Frobel, Frobellum, Frobella, whatever you want to call me. I don't know if they're like to my left or my right, but there's Marco somewhere. Um, there's also Merrick. He's the pretty face of the podcast.
We all
Can I get a
exist.
little? Can I get a little? Yeah, Merrick. Can I get a yeah?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Didn't have
And
to
of
do that.
course, we have an even prettier face on the podcast today, Flambo Jambo.
Hello, that's me. I'm here today.
How about you tell us about yourself, Flambo Jambo?
All right.
I don't know who you are, so.
Kind of showed up, and we just let him in.
Yeah, I was yelling at Frobel. I said, if I don't get on this podcast, well, you're gonna be in big trouble. My name's Sambo Jambo, or Alan, or whatever you want to call me. I really don't care as well. But I'm currently the captain of the Arizona OTs. I got my T here today. Obviously, for obvious reasons.
Obviously.
But I was also Season 4 MVP for the Falkland Fennecs. Shout out to that team. And I am the occasional caster. Not much this season because I'm... and you might see on the recording here this week if I just suddenly cut out and then you just get to see my frozen face. But otherwise, that's pretty much just me in a nutshell. But I do have one question to already kick off this episode, if that's all right.
All right.
So I know last week War got to kiss Merrick. Do I get to kiss Frobel this week?
I think that's fair.
All right. Hey, fucker. Oh, wait. All right. There you go. Oh, sorry. I know you want to go.
You want to go in for some tongue this time, maybe?
Can we cut this out? This can't be in, can it? Can we cut this out, please?
Don't cut it out. Don't cut it out. Love wins. Love wins. Love wins.
Love wins.
Love
We
wins,
should
but
instead
not.
just have like
But
a
some
50,
of these teams aren't winning.
Wow, what a segue. Let's talk about our first match then. The Whales and the Frogs.
Which team isn't winning, huh? Which team didn't win?
The okay.
Just keep up this awful segue, please. Just roll with it.
Sounds good. So the team that we saw not winning this week was the Welsh Whales, but the series was actually exceptionally close. It was a great game to watch. We saw the Frogs pull out sort of a close win after really gaining the momentum on their Kings Row matchup. Whalefish on the Reaper character just absolutely came alive. And I think that map was also just a great example of this like really solid synergy that we see coming out from main tank Wags and main support Frog, which I don't think that's a surprise. I think everyone sort of expected that coming into this season, but it really worked its magic on Kings Row in particular. We did see the Whales put up a really close fight. They took Busan and I think Rialto before the Frogs I love that map. No way.
I love that map. I love Rialto.
Before the Frogs took the Whales to their signature Anubis 2CP map. Unfortunate for the Whales that they had to play that map.
3 weeks in a row. They play Anubis.
It works for the Frogs, and if it works for them, I'm all for them just doing what works. So
Can I leak something?
Yeah.
Can I leak something?
Are there leaks?
We were talking about at some point getting rid of 2CP entirely. That fell through though. That didn't happen.
We should have. No, we should have.
No, but
should have removed
Riley Rusty
TCP.
Kumba would argue, and this proves his point potentially that it allows for strategy. These Fiji frog type beats.
No, who cares if it allows for strategy?
Listen, no one else in the league, no one in this league is practicing 2CP, so the Frogs are able to just take full advantage of their
They
chaos
just
comp,
practice
okay?
2CP, huh? That's what.
No one wants to play 2CP. It's a
It's
horrible
a strategy.
game
It
mode.
works.
It is a strategy. There you see, Merrick's on board.
Can a
I'm
strategy
hearing-
for
you know
me
what, I'm
be
hearing
to
some-
just like DDoS the other team? Is that an effective
Well, it's not in the
strategy?
rulebook, so
Just DDoS their star player?
it's not in the rulebook. I haven't made a clause for that yet, so I suppose so.
Playing 2CP is just about as bad.
Playing
honestly.
2CP is as bad as getting DDoSed, yeah.
Yeah, we saw the Frogs win 2CP and then win the last map twice in a row. One can only assume that playing 2CP just booms the other team's mental so much that they cannot recover in time for the last map. obviously the Dorado Ducks, though, with Mentals of Steel, week 1, were able to overcome that disadvantage.
That's what I've heard.
Right.
I know.
That's what
I
Shoes
know.
have been
I
saying.
know absolutely nobody on our team.
That's what they've been saying in the locker room. The
UCP.
Ducks just
Hey,
mental
they're
fortitude.
just
they got
go
it.
next mentality. The Ducks over there.
You know what? Let's talk about our other really close game this week: the Anglers and the Skies.
I could take over that one. I had a blast watching that matchup. So of course, I think everyone was kind of agreeing coming into this week that this was going to be kind of the two heavyweight teams finally going at it. At least until playoffs, maybe we'll see what happens there. But we got to see a full strength Skies take on an Anglers who I think we're down someone, because I know Mighty Dwarf. They were down Mighty Dwarf. And that's who I was thinking of. So we really just saw. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
You can give him a little
Riddle,
okay.
Riddle, edit that out. Edit that out. Edit that out,
Riddle.
Riddle.
Like
I think
a little duck sound instead of that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Or a bell.
Just prop
Rialto
this
Ringers.
over
Put a
my
bell
mouth at the same
instead.
time. No, but we had watching that match, right? It was really, the hype was, I think, very fair. But you could definitely tell that both teams had a very different kind of comfort zone, right? And that's where we really saw map picks really come in clutch, right? Where, the awesome Anglers want to be playing this rush brawl comp, right? They want to be having the Reinhardt. Usually they want to be having, a Reaper. They want to be really just fast in there, letting Bonesy do Bonesy things, right? Letting Booney do Booney things, right? Just trying to run over their opposition. Whereas the Skies are really finding that comfort pick in the double shield, right? And when you have a Kua fancy tank line in your double shield, that's pretty terrifying, right? Of course, also Jack came in on the Sombra, had some really big EMPs, as well as both Ninja Drew and Razmataz both flexing over onto that DPS to kind of enable these high SR comps and really let the Skies shine through. But again, I think the big moral of the story in that fight was just, back and forth based on that map type, with the Emma Skies being able to clutch it out in the end, being able to play that double shield on Hollywood, and then on Lijiang Tower, then going against the Awesome Anglers on what you could consider probably a better map for that brawl rush. But the Emma Skies went in, got the map win, and it was a pretty close, good series. So definitely showing that both the Emma Skies can bleed, and that the Awesome Anglers are definitely back after, definitely a shaky first week and a pretty close second week.
Yeah.
The Awesome Anglers have cast their line in.
Okay.
Awesomely waiting for a really big fish.
Wow.
Reeling it in, but they couldn't reel it in enough when the Emma Sky was on the other line. And the line broke, and the Awesome Anglers didn't win, but they got really close.
Yep.
Like the Emma Sky was on the surface, but it broke away last second, and the Awesome Anglers did not fish anything.
True.
And again, this is sorry, I'm going back. I know I kind of ended my statement, but I've completely forgot to bring this up because I mentioned that Mighty Dwarf was gone. But the Awesome Anglers were even running comps that I don't think they normally practice, right? Because they had Zelos in on DPS, who did pretty well, right? He definitely held his own. And, Mighty Dwarf is also no slouch on the DPS. But fitting in Zelos on there, the Anglers looked like they were running their normal comp, right? So, and again, taking it to a map 5 against the MS guys who are full strength and kind of running what they're known for. Definitely.
Oh, I got a little leak here, a little leakage. I happen to speak every now and then to the captain of the Awesome Anglers. His name is Bonesy, also known as Tyler. I can call him that because we're chill. You guys aren't allowed to, so please refer to him as Bonesy. But I have heard that that Mighty Dwarf, my former teammate, love his heart, bless his soul, one of the best soldiers I've ever played with, has some Caber-esque availability, meaning that his availability is pretty much limited to very late at night on weekends, which, doesn't synergize well with the rest of the league or the rest of his team. So from what I know, the compositions that we saw the Awesome Angler running against the Emma Skies will be compositions that they end up running a lot more frequently. Just to try to make 6 people be able to show up for a match and actually play. So I think the Anglers definitely got some time to get comfortable on this comp, and they definitely showed it against the Emma Skies. Anyways,
Summer
on
season.
to our next match.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna go on a completely different aside.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh.
The Trout and Ducks. That's what I want to hear, Marco.
Well,
Go ahead.
That's still me. So, this one was not as close. We had 2 3-2s this week and 3 3-0s. I think War made a bet with me. I think we made like a bet last week on the podcast. It was like they would all be really close or they'd all be like one-sided. We're split down the middle. But if you ask War, he says that he wins out in that bet. I disagree though. I think the 3-2s are more
I
rare.
disagree too. I think War is definitely watching this. War, you need to pay up to Marco. You said like all 3-2s. Marco said all 3-0s. There were more 3-0s than there were 3-2s.
Right, but listen.
Marco very clearly won the bet.
What?
The 3-0s were close, guys. The 3-0s,
Okay.
the 3-0s were close.
All right.
I promise.
I think 3-2s are more rare. So that's why,
Yeah.
But I digress. This one really definitely not as close or maybe as exciting as the other two. You had them all go to Busan, Kings Row, and ended off on Gibraltar. And we had some great scuff casting by Fedora and Trey for that one. I was watching over the VOD. That was nice of him. I remember so. Where do you even start with this? The Ducks, I guess, just look better. It's like very clearly look better. They won 3-0. But the Trout just had some really strange. I mean, like you could tell me, like the Trout had some strange comp decisions, like that map. They were playing like Busan. What's like the hangar? Is that what it's called? The hangar one? It's the one where they all play Ryan and Ryan Rush. Mecha Base, yeah. Well, they were on Mecha Base, and they weren't running Rush. That's what the Ducks were running their standard Ryan Rush, and then you have the Trout running like Monkey, Diva, and then no, I think like Monkeys are. So like Monkey, Diva, Monkeys are, but like they're running a Monkey on the Mecha Base where usually you don't want to do that. You want to run the Ryan, and just never kind of swapped off it. They just stuck with it and didn't really work. Similarly, like on Kings Row, defense they had the Ryan Rush, and then on attack they tried something different. It was a Ryan comp, Ryan, like I think Ryan Czar or Ryan Diva. No, Ryan Czar, because I remember that Adam managed to eat a couple ults there, maybe a grab or two during that match.
I ate a Graviton Surge thrown out by Orion. Orion doesn't watch these, but on the off chance he does, sorry, bud. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to make a fool of you like that in front of your entire team. Yeah. Captain Diff, Orion.
I wouldn't have said all that if it was. I wouldn't have said all that. But
now I very comfortably will say all that. I think the entire series was a Captain Diff.
Oh.
Well, I'm going a little too far now.
Hold on, let me finish my.
I didn't mean to say that. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Like
Marco,
the comp they run on Kings Row on attack, they were running they ran Ryan Zarya, but they didn't run the Lucio at that point. They ran like a Mercy Echo. And it worked at some point for when they got first point on their attack, and they got stuck on second point. They lost the fight, and then Logan over on the Lacos on the Dorado Ducks decides to go Ashe because of course he's gonna run Ashe. They're running an Echo Mercy, and for like 2 or 3 minutes, they just don't swap off that comp, and like he's gonna be able to deal with it. Like Lacos is good enough where he can deal with an Echo Mercy. So that's what he did. I don't know, just strange comp choices, I guess. I'm not gonna be one to judge like teams who want to run what they want to run because anything can basically work if you put your mind to it in this league. The league's not that high competition, that high SR, where you have to worry about what you want to run. But like the decisions just didn't really make sense to me, at least like on the Trout. But it's not like. Also just throw a bunch of shit at the Trout. The Dorado Ducks played really well. as well. I want to give credit to once again lol 24/7, once again popping off. Uh, One of the players I didn't expect to do as well this season. He's on the DPS. I think I think Adam, you picked him up as tank. I'm pretty sure originally, right? Not even DPS. And then
I picked him up under tank because I didn't know if he was willing to off roll or
I
not.
remember you
Ah.
picking him up for numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
weird
picked him up for the
numbers.
third person on my
Oh,
team with numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But-
was originally gonna play him on tank, but we like talked, and he's a really chill guy. He's a really awesome guy, and he's been enjoying the season like a lot playing DPS. Like he was before a game we were talking, and he was telling me about how like he likes playing Tracer and how it's like brings him back to the days where he was like just starting to play Overwatch because that's when he
Aw.
played Tracer, and I'm just like awesome, very cool.
He's good at it, man. I didn't because he played like tank
He's-
before. I'm pretty sure, but his DPS is like solid for especially for SSR. It's solid.
Yeah, I believe he was originally a DPS player, but I mean, if you know anything about him, you know he's a talker. He likes talking. He's a like not it's not a negative thing by any means, but he's also a good calmer. So he like swapped to main tank from DPS, I believe, because you know he liked talking during game and he liked calming. So he's been enjoying this so far playing DPS, but there's a little plan in mind for him on main tank. I won't be leaking it just
Okay.
yet. Maybe later in the podcast, but
Well, I hope everyone's enjoyed this LOL 24/7 segment of the podcast. But
I love LOL. I'm
going
LOL
back to the topic at hand. So yeah, LOL 24/7 did really well. I guess shout out to Frobble Adam as well. Gibraltar, he played Hog, and it was a mess, but he played so well it didn't really matter. He basically gifted. I think he got his first and second point kind of on his own. Frankly put,
Yeah, I
he was doing
did.
criminal things.
A little bit.
I want to keep playing Roadhog, but my team just falls apart whenever I do. They just
It's
there's
okay because the other team also falls apart when you do. So as long as both teams are falling
No,
apart.
it's not true. It's not true. I slammed my desk so hard that my webcam cover went off. It's not true.
He's mad.
My team
This
just
man is his anger is uncontrolled. This guy
my team
needs
just
help.
loses their minds. They don't know how to play with
this
the
guy
Roadhog.
is unhinged.
It's I've yelled at them. You should hear the team chats. I'm screaming
It's
at
true.
them.
It's true.
I can't handle it anymore.
Hostile team environment. It's
They're-
okay,
they're-
Ducks.
they're-
We'll
they're
take it.
forcing me onto
After
the
our
diva.
win next week, you know, if any of you want to trade or get dropped and then come up on a winning team, hey, let me know.
Okay, on that note, Alan, let's talk about how winning your team is with the Iceland Imps versus the Arizona OTs match.
All right. I mean, the Imps are no strangers to 3-0 series, and this was another 3-0 series. To give the OTs the absolute benefit of the doubt, to give them what they deserve, the first two maps were surprisingly very close. The
Alan has a
OTs
gun to Merrick's head right now.
You can't see the end of my arm, but
Listen,
I'll just
the
keep it held
OTs
here.
the OTs were down Strudel, who kind of plays sort of a core part of their main lineup. Obviously, very strong support player, very flexible for the team. And without Strudel, Alan, can you tell me what your average SR was without Strudel?
Uh-oh.
You were below 3,000 on every single.
Yeah, I think it was like 2900 or
It,
something.
it was
that.
like 2949.
Well, what team was Fedora on that they kept running like 2,900 comps on? He like a word with
the
you.
Stockholm syndrome.
The Stockholm
right?
Syndromes? You got like a word
Yeah.
with you. I don't know if they won many matches, but they like a word with you.
So like I said, benefit of the doubt, down Strudel, kind of a scuffed comp. Managed to take the first round from the Imps on Busan, but I do think that that's sort of scared the Imps kind of into shape, and they really picked it up for the last two rounds of Busan and ended up taking the map. Kings Row, another very very close map. The OTs got to show their OT presence as the map went into overtime. Rusty on the main tank really went in there. Got to see the showdown between Rusty and Trey on the main tank roles, which was a great map to watch. Ultimately, the Imps eked out a victory on Kings Row, and The Junkertown map was not exceptionally close, but Junkertown, definitely not a map that we see a whole lot in the league either. Certainly not as common as like those weekly Koth maps and Kings Row. So,
I believe this was actually the first time this season that Junkertown
really,
was played. Yeah.
wow. Okay, so first time Junkertown was played actually at all.
There's not a lot of
So kind of
Junkertown enjoyers out there. There's a lot of
yeah,
Junkertown haters. I feel like the Skies.
understandably
I feel like
so.
the MS Skies would be like one of the few teams that would want to play that map.
Diamond Skies,
I don't
they
even
love,
think the MS guys would want to
You don't
do
even think the
that.
MS Skies would?
they
I'm
love
just saying because
hybrid maps.
Chris Victus is on there. Is like you just put him on a hit scan hero. It's a little bit
I
of
just
town.
think that I think Junkertown is just a poor map, poorly
Maybe in the
designed
rules we
map.
should also get rid
Well,
of.
Chris Victus isn't on the MS guys.
Is he? Oh, he's not.
He's on the
I just
Imps.
sorry, just not there with the
Yeah.
Hawks again. Never mind, not the MS Skies then.
Well, they clearly showed they wanted to play Junkertown.
Yeah.
Simple
Okay.
misconception.
Now it
simple
all makes
misconception.
sense to me.
Yeah,
It all
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense now. That all makes sense. But
I just want to add at the end too. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
as the people losing to the Imps this week, I just want to give first of all a special shout out to the Imps because again, I will be honest, I didn't I thought the Imps were a really strong team, like before we played them, but really just being in that match was kind of insane. And we VOD reviewed a few of the maps as well the other day. And just watching again, first map in particular, because we really looked at Busan this week. I really don't think we made too many micro mistakes, but just seeing the level of play that the Imps were playing at was really insane. They had really strong peel. They knew when to disengage. We were kind of just left whenever we would all in or do anything like that. They were just gone, and we just couldn't take advantage of that at all. So again, huge for them, and I wanted to share my highlight of the week, which was when we were attacking on Kings Row after our first we got shut down really early. The next comm that we had was Riley just saying, "All right, I'm gonna pin in," and then we ended up winning that fight. So hey, to all the Ryan Dreamers out there, it can happen. So yeah. That's I just wanted to share that for this week.
All right, and let's get on and talk about our last match, the Pushins versus the Cats.
Yeah, I could talk about this one too. I was we had a little watch party going on for this one. I think in general, but before I even get started, I think the Pushins in general are a team that a lot of people are still a little not really sure what to do with. I think the Pushins kind of had interesting matchups so far, with their first week, being the Whales, who are now a non-winning team. Hopefully that changes. I'm cheering for you guys.
Yeah, they just played the Cats who are also not winning. They're playing the
and the Cats,
the Mickey
who are
Mouse teams,
also
unfortunately.
yeah,
So-
and then they won against the Imps, who have been kind of dominating. So it's kind of hard to tell what the Pushins want to do, right? So in the full credit to the Cats. I think the Cats definitely showed up, in particular on Numbani, right? It was a 3-0 series, right? And the Pushins looked pretty solid, right? Let me check and see what the map scores were, because I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So Busan, it wasn't the best showing from the Cats, right? I mean, you just have PJ and Mikey in there, and they're just kind of doing their thing, kind of dominating with some form of relative ease. But you took him to Numbani, and Elliot really did say he can't do more. He's in there, he's getting the headshots, he's getting the kills. I think this was the look. I think Paige was on support on Numbani, but I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote anything going on, but I think this was also when you had both Ox and Cathin on tank. But I also could just be wrong. I don't want to missay anything. But I do remember Numbani being really close. I think at the start of the map it was a little rusty, and we didn't really expect the Cats to make it all three, but both teams made it all the way through on Numbani with pretty big timestamps, right? So maybe both teams are just not the best at defense, or maybe again, Elliot just said he couldn't do more, and just click tags, but I think again, I think the Cats are still definitely a fighting team. I want to see their showings in playoffs in particular, since now we have the new um, rules and regulations, right? But I don't think either of the teams that we're playing today were really, I don't think the Cats necessarily had a bad showing. But again, I'm not really sure how the Puccines performed. I think they did really well, right? They really did well on Dorado and Busan, right? So it's just kind of again leaving this question mark in the air of are they going to be able to perform at that same level next week against the Anglers? And as for the Cats, right, they're kind of looking ahead and they're playing the Imps next week. So I really need to see I want to see the Cats really show up, show that they're working on things, right?
The Cats are in a
I
tough
want to see
spot.
them.
It's unfortunate.
It's a tough spot, right?
I
They
thought
have
they
the
would have
Imps and
squeaked
the
out. I thought they
Anglers
would have
left.
squeaked out a win right now, but unfortunately,
Yeah,
the team seemed to only get harder. At least like standing wise, they only get harder from here on out.
yeah.
I think if they're going against other teams, they could definitely squeak by a win. The odds are against them, but now that they can't be done, we've seen crazier things happen.
The Cats have a pretty hard schedule to end off with.
Yeah.
Like we just said, next week they have
so it's
the
it's the
Imps.
Imps
The week
and
after
the
they have the
Anglers.
Anglers.
Yeah.
I think at this point, if you're the Cats, you just try to get as many matches as you can against these teams. If you could pull out a win, that's awesome. But just make sure you don't tilt out before playoffs start. You guys might be winless going into it, but just try to gain as much as you can from these matches. Try to build up some synergy. There's definitely time to get a win in the playoffs. I mean, the way that playoffs are right now, like everyone's making it in. You'll play against
less pressure off your shoulders all of a sudden.
Yeah, you'll play against one of the losers of the first winners playoff matches. It looks like. So you got your shot. You got your one chance in the playoffs. You can definitely squeak out a win. This also goes for the Whales as well. The Whales also having a pretty difficult end couple of games with the MS guys next week, and then the week right after they're against my team, the Dorado Ducks. So we'll see what can happen with both those teams. I'm really hoping that they don't end up winless. Shorter season, so it was kind of bound to happen. Shorter season, you're playing against less people. It's unfortunate, but I definitely don't think any of these teams are just beyond inept, like completely not even a chance of being saved. So, anyways, now that we're done with that, let's talk about some of our exciting matches for next week.
There's one thing I should mention before. I want to go back quickly to the Trouts. So we should probably mention this as well. It's probably worth talking about here. But let's see. Let me make sure I'm right on this. But there was a player dropped very recently.
Yeah.
There was. Bunny was dropped from the Trout due to personal issues.
Was the Trout? Okay. So I feel like that's worth mentioning. I did not mention that during the match recap. That probably doesn't help either.
Yeah.
To have to change stuff around so quickly. So there's also
that. It was day of too. So
yeah.
So
I mean, the Trout only have 6 players right now. Hopefully they can pool them together for every match. It seems like they've been able to do a pretty decent job of that so far. Minus their week 1. They have some wonky availability. I know Nolo has some obscure availability that we were trying to plan around for this match. So
yeah, to save face for the Trout, they were also dealt that's a pretty rough hand you're dealt with going into a game day. One of your players is down. A solid player too, so unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. And for our matches for next week, the first match on the list, I don't know, I think it's alphabetical or something, I don't know. It's the Anglers versus Puccines. I believe we already talked about this a little bit. This is going to be a really exciting match to watch. It'll really show us where the Puccines stand. On top of where the Anglers stand, the Anglers have kind of
weird.
Yeah.
They've had like kind of the opposite schedule of what you would of how you describe like the Puccine schedule, right? Iceland Imps week 1. Week 2, the Arizona OTs. That's a pretty simple team.
Not a challenge, frankly put.
I'm kidding, by the way. I'm poking fun at Alan. Please don't take that seriously.
Wait, Adam, we can always kiss again and make up later.
Oh no.
And then the awesome Anglers week 3 played against the Emma Skies. So the Anglers had a really tough schedule so far. We'll see how they perform against the Puccines, who, like Alan talked about, kind of had a little more lenient schedule so far, playing against the 2 winless teams in the time when the Anglers were playing the 2 loseless teams. Um, lossless, losing the least amount. So
Undefeated.
that should be a really fun one to watch. There's the Iceland Imps and the Chicago Cats. There's the Arizona OTs and the Dorado Ducks.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
That
right.
should be a really fun
Hey, T's and
Fun
three.
one.
T's and three.
Adam's trying to
There are definitely
antagonize
some
Flambo
shenanigans
Jambo
in
before a
plan
game.
for this game. I think my team is really taking this at its this game is just a show match game at its face. I hope the Arizona OTs are as well, but I know Alan here is a little weasel.
Yes, stop talking about
probably
the Arizona
gonna-
OTs
probably
as just
gonna-
like some weird entity. He's right here. You can talk to to Flambo Jambo right now to his face.
Oh, the
Listen,
OTs are about to
listen.
pull out their playoff strats to win this game.
We're gonna play at least once. We're playing our mathematically correct comp. We have a composition right now that the average is 3,249.8.
If I were the
Wow.
Ducks,
All right, so
I'd be
we're
shivering
not
with
going to do
tickets.
that. We're not going to pull out a mathematically correct comp.
We're doing perhaps even the opposite.
All right, and to talk about these games together, just to move on, because we could probably talk about the Dorado Ducks and the OTs for forever. We talked about it before, the Iceland Imps and the Chicago Cats, and the MS Guys and the Welsh Whales. This is both of the teams that have not lost yet, versus both of the teams that have not won yet. This is, I have, it's gonna be something to watch. I don't know how it's gonna go. If these teams can pull out some maps, it'll be crazy. I'm sure everyone's rooting for the underdogs here. It'll be a fun one to watch. Both those games, and then finally the Troubling Trout versus the Fiji Frogs. That one's also going to be pretty interesting. It'll show us really. It's another point of data for the Trout that we really need. The Trout in a situation I would say similar to the Pushins, where it's kind of hard to get a read on them, right? Like week one, they didn't have they had I did it again. My bad. They had 5 players. They had someone as a sub. I don't remember.
That's Sonic Chronic on DPS, I think.
Yeah, I
Remember
did.
incorrect.
Their week one match was against the MS Guys. They took a map off them with that weird comp they had. So credit where credit's due. Week 2 they played against the Welsh Whales. Then last week they played against us. So we'll see where the Trout are. The Fiji Frogs probably trying to get another 3-2, pull it out on an Anubis or something. I can't respect that in the slightest. So anyways, let's go on to our power rankings. This is the part where us on the roundtable are going to look at our last power rankings. We had the Iceland Imps and MS Guys at number 1. We had a tier break after. Then the Anglers, Trout, Ducks, then another tier break. Then the Frogs, Pushins, another tier break, and the OTs, Cats, and Whales. This is the part where we look at that and we think, wow, we were some idiots for thinking that X goes above Y, So I'd like to get on and provide my power rankings. I've been thinking about them over this past week. Obviously, you others on the roundtable are free to butt in because this is our power rankings, us, a community, and by community I mean the 3 of us. And then Alan will talk about his power rankings right after.
That last week was pretty on point, though, wasn't it? That sounds. I'm listening over it. It sounded pretty on point.
There were a few that were on point. I'm still very adamant that the Iceland Imps, MS Guys, number one and number 2, tier break right after.
Okay.
I think the Anglers, I think they should keep their number 3 spot
Easily. Yeah.
I think they did a good job this week. I think the Trout is where I'm starting to change things.
Where do we have to Trout again? Did we have them right below?
You can't see. That's right.
I can't see. I'm trying to remember. It's all going by memory.
We had the Trout right below the Anglers at number 4 in the power ranking.
Okay, and I'm guessing right above the Ducks.
Yeah. So I'm personally moving the Ducks above the Trout there.
After a 3, I think that's a little fair. I think that's fair.
I'm also gonna probably put the Pushins on top of the Trout there too.
That's fair, but that's probably one of those where it could really go either way as well.
I still want some more data on the Pushins and the Trout before I put them any higher or lower for either of them.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty comfortable keeping them where they are right now. So what we have right now would be the Iceland Imps, MS Guys tier break, Awesome Anglers, Dorado Ducks, Pushins, and Trout, and then another tier break. And this is where the frogs, the
You have the
Fiji
Trout.
frogs.
You have the
come
Trout
in.
on the same tier as the Ducks, the Anglers.
I think the Trout can still be up there in that
I mean, you could
tier.
just put them one below. I think you put like the Pushins and the Trout in their own
I
tier.
don't know if the Trout really deserve to drop down to the bottom tier of teams.
They're not in the
you
bottom
know?
tier team. Well, I would think you would have like. Well, at this point, it's just semantics. It doesn't really matter that much. I was just
Yeah,
thinking
it
you
is
have
just
like.
semantics.
I was just thinking you have like Dorado. You have not the Ducks. Sorry, the Imps in the Skies tier break, the Ducks and the Anglers tier break. That wasn't in order, by the way. So, but like, yeah, Imp Skies, Anglers, Ducks, and then another tier break after that. Then
We could do it a nice little 2-2-2-2.
that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
All right, fine. We'll do it a nice little 2-2-2-2. So
It
we'll
seems
have
it
the
just seems weird
Anglers
to
and
put like
Ducks
a
on a
team that
tier of
got.
their own.
It seems weird to put a team that got 3-0'd.
Yeah.
At the same team.
I mean, I think you got some points here, but I think the Trebling Trout could be a pretty good team. You know, I think we
They
kind
can
of just had their
bounce
number in
back.
this
They
series,
had a
so.
tough. Tough. I did. forget
So
that
let's
missing
go
Bunny.
ahead then. Let's go ahead then. We'll do Iceland Imps, Emma Skies tier
Yeah.
break, Anglers, Dorado Ducks tier break,
Yeah.
Trout Pushins tier break. Then I'll put the Fiji Frogs right here.
The
right
Fiji
after.
Frogs get their own. Get their own tier.
Yeah, can we get the Fiji Frogs tier? Like if they play Anubis tier.
Yeah.
If they don't play Anubis, I think they go all the way to the bottom. There's something. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about this webcam.
He's getting
shenanigans.
heated. I'm like getting nervous at this point. I kind of just. I'm not comfortable.
So
You're making me uncomfortable.
So I think I'm gonna put the frogs in the tier of their own. Right after I'll put the OTs in a
Can
tier of their
like the
own.
frog tier just be like this ethereal like entity that fits outside of the power rankings?
Somewhere else, yeah. Riddle's gonna make the frogs really beautiful.
Just
The
outside,
OTs
because wait a minute, they've played 3 matches and they've all been to map 5.
Every single one of them have been.
Every single one's been to map
Every single
5.
one of them they played Anubis. Yeah.
And like it was one of them was against you guys like as well. So like a good team. So I think the frogs deserve to be like this entity that deserves to be outside space and time. Maybe I'm
yeah,
giving.
I think the frogs are just the 5 map team. Anyways, after that, frogs somewhere on their own. The OTs are going to be on their own, not because they deserve to be on their own, but because they're like not on the frogs level of etherealness, and I think the OTs are a little bit above the Chicago Cats and Whales, given that they beat the Chicago Cats. So the OT's on their own tier.
The OT tier.
Then
the O tier.
Then a little switcheroo at the bottom here. I'm gonna put the Welsh Whales above the Chicago Cats.
I mean, it's fine. I think they go either
Chicago
way.
Cats now sadly at the bottom of our tier list. I'm sorry, Paige. You know I love you. I don't want you at the bottom of the tier list. I love the Cats.
No.
But yeah, I think that's our tier list. Unless Merrick, do you have anything to say?
I'm still on the Chicago Cats hopium.
Me too.
So yeah,
Cat
I
teams just
don't
have
know.
it bad.
If the Chicago Cats have one fan, that one fan is me. No matter what.
Hey,
I think
I was the OG kitten, man. I'm still believing in the Cats.
I think the
It's
cat, I think
alright.
cat themed
Yeah,
teams have
it's
like there's like a really bad like luck charm because it's not
Listen,
just the
listen,
cats
listen.
and the kins, it's also the Bilbies, like the Beebles and the Bilbies. I keep getting them mixed up, but one of those two teams also
the
went
Beebles.
winless. The Beebles went winless as well. It's also a cat
Yeah.
themed team.
The Buenos Aires Beebles.
So there's Beebles. I think the Bilbies afterwards I think actually did pretty well, but well, that's like the outlier, not the norm.
Now that we've concluded our power rankings, Alan, go ahead. Let us judge your opinions here.
All right, all right. So listen, I am a believer. All right, I have full faith in every single team in this league. I don't think there's really any bad teams this year, by far. I also, the way that I did my power rankings, okay, it does not take into effect wins or losses. The way that I have my order set is the order that I think they'll get knocked out in playoffs.
I thought
So,
I thought you were just going off vibes or something. Just going off the vibes.
Yeah,
of
well,
the
also
team.
vibes. I'll also do vibes. But so I'm gonna paste this in, but then I'll also say it out loud. And Riddle, if you need me to send this to you for when you're editing, I can for sure do that. So what I have, in my S tier, I think the number one team right now is for sure the Imps, right? I think the Imps are a really strong team. Again, playing them firsthand, they kind of wiped the floor. At least on on Junkertown. On Junkertown, they wiped the floor.
Yeah,
Copium.
just Drunker Town. Yeah.
But again, I think they're a really strong team. Fedora, Invictus, that is an insane DPS line. Trey's really been showing up on tank as well. And then they have Zeus on flex support, also just nothing to scoff at, and they have positive vibe boost as well with Charbotron, War, and Nash Browns, and all very positive people. So I think already that's just an insane team as a whole. I think second in the league right now is the Emma Skies, right? I think we can all collectively agree on that. The Emma Skies have been just kind of dominating in their division. Again, I talked about it earlier. Akua Fancy, Jack, HV, insane team. So I know I said that this might be in order of playoffs. I'm assuming with this ranking, I'm assuming that the Emma Skies will not be losing Fancy. So I think if Fancy ends up not being able to play, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the team performs, because I don't think they can really get away with that more greedy double shield look. But again, that's all theoretical. Up next in my A tier, I have the Awesome Anglers at 3. Again, I think after a slow start first week, they've definitely been bringing it back with just really strong showings the 2 weeks after. And again, I think just as a whole, good team. As well as the Pushins, I have in A tier. I have the Pushins as the 4th seeded team, which again, when I was doing this, I had no idea where to put the Pushins because it really was the type of thing where, we don't really have a good judge of where to put them. So I just kind of have them up there because, they've been playing well, they've been looking good, and on paper, the team is really, really strong.
Who's your number 3 again? Who's your number 3?
Anglers. Anglers are my number 3. Yeah. I then have a tier break. And let me just disclose this too right now. But, I'm sorry, I'm taking a while with my power rankings.
I got places to be, man. Hurry up.
So true.
I do think that the Maroon division is a lot stronger than the Gold division. And maybe I get hate, maybe I get backlash.
No, you're preaching to the choir. That's facts.
Okay, all right, all right, good. I'm glad everyone's on the same page. So that might also kind of help explain some of my reasonings a little bit. But so then I have the tier break after the Pushins, and I have in B tier. I think we'll find out a little bit this week, unless we're doing some trolling, and maybe we won't find out, but maybe that's just a cover-up, right? I think the OTs and the Ducks are the 2 closest teams in the league right now. I think they are really similar on power scaling. I think if the OTs are able to kind of bring it together, prepare for this week, I think it'll be definitely really close. And I think that the Ducks, started off as this really name-recognized team. I think everyone on that team is a really good player. But the issue is that there's just been kind of a consistency thing, and maybe I'm also just buying into Scrimbucks a little bit. But I think I want to see the Ducks come out. I want to see the Ducks really perform. I still think the Ducks are a really strong team. I think they have really good players, again, like I said. But I feel like I'm just not seeing this in their matchups so far. Granted, this week against the Trout, it was.
This guy didn't watch the Dorado Ducks.
This guy didn't watch the Flash Shatter combo.
This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Listen. When Frobble isn't trolling on the Hog character, all right. I think.
Okay, we've established this. It's not me trolling. It's my team trolling me. It's my team trolling me.
Why is Lagos playing Genji into it? What is he gonna dive in on? Why is he playing Genji?
I'm out here on Jib, I'm getting pick after pick. I can't do more.
Why is he playing Genji? Who's he supposed to go in on?
I don't even know what's happening. Whenever I pick Hog, like Merrick must also just get so obsessed with my gameplay.
What do you
do? I just get distracted. I get distracted.
What do you say to your
Every time he lands the hook, I just die.
What do you say to your team when you go Hog? What do you say to your team?
I say I'm locking the Hog.
What's everyone else supposed to do?
Figure it out. I don't know. The axolotls made it work great. The axolotls were the best team I've ever been on.
That's the biggest copium ever.
Merrick gets so distracted by my hog gameplay that he walks off of cart right into the enemy team.
It's true. I do this every map without fail. I don't like the cart very much. Okay, like
I feel like
I don't
the
know.
off
I
tank
don't
should
wanna be
generally be
there.
on card. No.
Let's allow Alan to talk again. Let's allow Alan to talk again.
No, I'm enjoying this.
No. We will save the bickering for bed later. Alan, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, so under the Trout and the Ducks, I did put the Ducks above above under the T's and the Ducks. Right. I have the tier break, and this is where I have the Trout. I think the Trout have definitely had a really strong showing so far. I think, in particular, Zucchini is just insane on the support role, right? And I think Lift Key and Wrecked Cactus is a DPS line that I don't want to play against. But again, they're kind of having interesting comp choices going around, and with the loss of Bunny, right? She was a really or they sorry I'm not sure. They were a really strong player, especially on that Ana, right? So while yes, you have Zucchini to fill that role, right? I wonder how that's changing their comps, their kind of team mentality going in. But a big part of how they were performing, at least week 1, Bunny was on that team of the week, right? So I think it's kind of a big loss to the Trout, and I think it's up to them to prove me wrong. I hope I get proved wrong, but again, I think it really comes down to if they are, kind of running a little bit more traditional things. I think they're a really solid team. But again, this is Gopherwatch League, right? Run what you want. So I do have them in a lower tier for now. And then I have my bottom tier. And again, this is where this is going purely off elimination order, in my opinion. Okay. I'm doing this because I'm already holding back the
No, go all in. Be opinionated.
I actually have the Cats as the 8th best team right now, or the 8th to get eliminated. I think the Cats have had rough showings these last 2 weeks. I think their loss against the Frogs, the Cats did not have Kath. Right, so they did have Riddle in as a ringer, right, and they went to a map 5 against the Frogs. Map 1, they went to a map 5 against us, and I'm biased, and I think we're a really strong team, and I think we definitely could have lost week 1. Actually, yeah, I think there were just a couple plays there where we probably should not have won, but it did happen. I am on the hopium. I think the Cats could very well make a losers bracket run, right? Because I don't think the Cats are gonna make it to the higher seed of the playoffs at this point, right? With the Imps and Anglers as their next matchups, but I really think they could probably beat the losers of that first week, right? So, of which I'm gonna say are the next 2. So,
honestly, Alan, I really quickly wanted to say that you're right.
Yeah.
The Cats definitely should have beaten your team. Because you picked Anubis, the scum you are.
Well, no, we picked KR, and then they said.
Oh, and they vetoed it. You're right. You're right.
So this is all going. This is the Anubis
right.
curse.
No,
Then they curse
cats,
themselves with
Their own
Anubis.
grave. The cats dug their own grave.
Anubis.
Wait, did the Cats end up winning that map or no? Did they win Anubis or no?
No, because
VOT's won. VOT's won.
Yeah. Because we were going to run KR, but again, they didn't want to veto, so we went to Anubis, which it was fine. It was fine. We'll say it was fine.
Wait, who won that one? I forgot who won that map though.
The OTs. The OTs won.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah. So then we have my 9th and 10th team, and I still think that this could flip around either way. I think it really comes up to the showing in this week's matchup. In particular, I want to see how the Fiji Frogs do against the Troubling Trout. Right now, I have the Trout, or I have the Frogs above the Whales, but I think that's only because I don't foresee the Whales being able to get out of that lower seed, losers bracket run. So I think it's going to be tough for them to win their first matchup unless it really comes down to who they're playing against. I think the Whales really have the makings of a good team. Unfortunately, I do have them at the bottom this week, just based on recent performance. Losing to the Frogs did not help yesterday, so that kind of mostly came down to why I placed them where they were. As for the Frogs, I love every single player on that team, but I think there's just so many compositional restrictions right now on this team. I think, the DPS line is really strong with Fruitals and Whalefish. I think Wags and Frog are really, being obviously the faces of the Fiji Frogs. The difficulty is then with the rest of your players, right? You have Muffin Lumps and Cool Slime, both Lucio players, or prefer to play Lucio, right? And trying to fit them in around Frog has kind of been hurting the Frogs a little bit so far, as well as Naga kind of coming in on that off tank. He's more known for the main tank, and Naga's been playing really well, and I'm a big fan of Naga as well. But I think it really again comes down to, are the Frogs going to able to iron out these compositional issues? Are they going to be able to fit these players that they kind of have floating around, get them comfortable on those roles, and still show up on these maps? Because it really is kind of coming down to the heroics of Whalefish and Wags, kind of in particular here, just getting those plays, getting those picks, initiating the fights, and just kind of thriving off the chaos that they're able to make. So I do have them low just because I'm not sure what can happen with them, and when I'm not sure what can happen with a team, I'm going to have them kind of lower in the playoff bracket. But feel free. Hey, DMs are open. DMs are open. Please.
Teams are open. I'm not having a debate with any chumps in my
you,
DMs.
I'll be sliding in.
Okay, well,
Anyways,
I'll let there be any debate going on, though.
Thank you for so boldly sharing your power rankings, Alan.
Of course.
I'm sure he's
I can't
trembling
say
in his boots now
anything
that
right now,
he has his power rankings out there for the public to see. I'd be scared. I'd be trembling. I'd be shaking.
Yeah, I'm going to be saying some very heinous things to you as soon as this podcast ends, though.
I look forward to it.
Anyways, Alan, we have you on the show. I wanted to ask you first. We have a pretty star-studded lineup here, right? We have a couple champions. We have
Nice.
Fudge. I didn't say a slur, a curse word. I didn't say a slur. Yeah, we have a couple champions in the year. We have season 2 grand finals MVP. We have season 3 captain of the year. That's all I got. Marco, you haven't won anything, have you? You're a loser, aren't you, Marco? You're a loser.
No, he was an all-star, wasn't he?
Yeah,
All-Star
I have a bunch
doesn't
of Discord
count.
medals.
All-Star doesn't count.
I have a bunch of Discord medals and stuff. I'm right. I'm a bum. I'm just a freeloader.
Marco isn't a champion. He isn't a captain of the year like me.
I have no
season
rings.
3. Alan, you're an MVP season 4. Big ol' asterisk on that one. Not sure if you deserved it, to be honest.
By 17 votes. By 17 votes.
You never in a million years, Alan, would have ever been my vote. But you're lucky. I wasn't watching season 4, big guy. So tell me.
We were too busy talking in the background, Adam.
Yeah, of course. so tell me, big man. What is any advice you have for any other player in the league, that's maybe competing at a lower SR like you? Like, how can they provide value to their team?
So I talked about this a little bit with Jamie too in our declaration video from last season, but I think a lot of the ideas around MVP and kind of the things voting around it as well is you don't have to be the best player on your team to get MVP, right? At least mechanically wise, right? The way that I like to think about. And I even have a couple MVP candidates. I don't know if I'm allowed to share, if that will bias people or anything.
Not
allowed. Not yet. That's for another podcast episode. Not for right now.
We're already gonna overtime. Like I said, I have places to be.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Marco.
Okay, Marco. Okay, bud.
Places to be.
Yeah, like outside.
It's
even less believable now.
Oh, all right, bud.
But yeah, like I think that just really providing the value for your SR and being, and while value itself, right? That's it's already just kind of a random term that people like to throw out a lot, right? But really, I think making your presence on the team known as well is kind of what's big, right? I came in season 4, and I'm not trying to say anything, but like I was kind of a nobody. Right, I went really late in the draft, and the only reason I was playing is because a lot of my other friends were here. Merrick told me he'd kill me if I didn't join. Um, so I ended up playing. You're right. I was a 2000 SR main tank player, right, in a league that's dominated by Purple Jesus, Booney, BBQ, right, all these really high name brand tank players, right, especially main tank players. And I was put on a team, right, and at first wasn't really expected to play that role. So what I try to do in particular, and what I recommend to other people to always try to do, is the best way to make yourself known is improve on the things that just the micro level things that you can get value on, right? Even now, I won't say I'm the most mechanically skilled player like at all, right? I think the majority of this league has me beat, right? But just practicing things like comms, practicing things like you know helping direct your team in a way that maybe they don't have that direction, and you know having energy, keeping the mental up, stuff like that is really things that a lot of people kind of discredit and don't really think about. um but I guess I'll talk about my last year MVP pick, right? Because I shout out Eatmeister, right? Because I know him as a guy who you know I think without Yeetmeister, I don't think the Axolotls would have performed nearly as well as they did last season. He's a guy who's always having fun on the team. Everyone on his team loves him, right? And he's um, talking. He's making plans. He's, just really being a presence on the team. He's making sure that everyone's able to play at a high level and really show up. And I think that's a big thing for everyone to do. Granted, it always helps when you are definitely a stronger player, because you understand how to do that better, right? But that's why it makes it a lot more incredible when you are a lower SR or a lower, maybe don't play that often, and really step into that, pull into that mentality, and really show like, hey, I may not be a master player, right? A master's level player, but I'm gonna make sure that I can show that I have knowledge on the game, and I'm gonna be decisive in what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna try to rally a team around me, right? So that's just kind of my general advice, and kind of how I approached it season 4, and I had a great team around me that really kind of took off that energy, right? I of course Jamie, BBQ, MJ, Lumpy Seal, Jake Jumbled, right? And Charlie, right? Everyone there was super positive, super fun, right? And we all just kind of fed off each other and made it work. So yeah, that's that. I guess I just kind of came down to a story, so I'm sorry about that. But
And
Hey,
nice
no
rambling
worries,
by
man.
Flambo, Jamble, the Ramble.
Listen, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate
Ramble
you
jambles.
coming on
Ramble,
the show.
Jamble.
Thank you again, Alan, for coming on the show. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Unless anyone has any closing words they'd like to say really fast.
Nope.
Earth plus tonnage, OTs in 3, baby. Let's go. Gotta shout.
Losing
Gotta shout
3,
us out.
maybe. Yeah, losing 3.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. We'll see.
Yeah, not win in 3.
Yeah, it's gonna be a complete stump.
At least we're consistent, man.
The Dorado Ducks are just gonna completely destroy the OTs next week. Don't even next week. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Monday
Man.
night.
Well, anyways, we're going on another tangent here. I'm gonna shut us off before we do. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for watching. I believe we're gonna have a break next week because of the 4th of July, and we'll be back the week after.
Well, yeah.
But I'm gonna miss everyone for that 1 week.
I'll miss you.
XOXO. Not you, Alan. I'm not gonna miss you at all. I love you guys for watching. Marco wants to get back to doing whatever, probably Destiny.
Going outside.
I'll figure it out. Probably Stardew Valley.
Merrick, do you have anything you want to say, big man?
I love everyone who watches this podcast.
Aw.
Yeah. That's true.
By the way,
True.
Zucchini, if you're watching, Merrick's really flattered that you called him pretty.
Aw.
He was all flustered when he saw that from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if everyone could let Merrick know that he's super pretty, that'd be pretty poggers. Anyways,
All right,
that's
you two.
all.
All right,
Thank you
you
for
two.
watching, guys. No, it's not like a flirting thing. It's just Merrick is, drop
Thanks
dead
for having me,
gorgeous.
man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for
I
coming.
don't know. I
Flambo,
always forget
yes.
that you're there. It's like if I remember, my eyes are just gonna burn because of how
right.
beautiful you are.
Sign us off,
Nice
man.
save.
We're just
Sign
rambling.
us off. Call it a day.
Rialto Roundtable over and out.
Bye bye.